don't do this. I already went down the path. I've done it for you. There's no reason why you would experience the agony of reading about hip resurfacing surgery. It's agonizing just to read about it. But Patrick Kane might be the one guy that can come all the way back after that procedure and play in the National Hockey League. He signed with Detroit. I'll give you all the details, plus a coaching change in the National Hockey League that hits close to home. And I'm going to introduce you to my newest favorite Philadelphia Flyer. Sean Walker is a fun human, and he speaks Mallardy's. It's the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard.
Boys, I'm Mike today. Just let everyone know, don't say anything stupid.
Heads up! Oh, how'd that feel, old man? That's a disgrace! That's a disgrace! What a joke! I'm gonna run you. I'm just waiting for my shift.
Update for you. It's official. Doug MacLean just finished his last story from the episode from a week ago. He just finished it now. You'll have to catch up. It's sort of on a delay, but eventually you'll be able to get to it. Was that not awesome last week? What a storyteller in Doug. And I've been around him a long time, but that was great because I hadn't heard a couple of those things. And even the ones that I've been around for, they're still funny. Lighting a towel on fire, going down the fairway of a private golf course. So Olli Jokinen, before being drafted, won't get into the weeds there, but awesome stuff. We can't wait to have Doug back on the Chirp Podcast. We'll get into the coaching change in Minnesota in just a little bit because that is intriguing in how Western Conference teams are making these switches early on because of the parity that is involved in the National Hockey League, and it's even more pronounced. Boston isn't running away like they did a year ago. Everybody's in the same boat. You're either a couple of points up or you're stuck in the murky middle. We'll get into Dean Evason's departure and John Hines' return to the NHL. But first, the big news is Patrick Kane has signed a contract and has joined the Detroit Red Wings for a prorated $2.75 million a year in a one-year contract. The future Hall of Famer had his choice from everybody, basically. Everybody was interested in Patrick Kane, but talked to between 7 teams seriously, 10 teams total, and he settled on the Detroit Red Wings. And one thing is very clear. Detroit, you know the fast forward button that you have on your television, and it goes from like ×4, ×8, ×16, ×32. Not all fast forward buttons are the same. Detroit got off to a great start. They're not fast forwarding into like 30 ×32 where you just run through the whole program. But this is a speed up of their process. And they're probably in around the ×16, if I can use that analogy. This is a major decision by Steve Yzerman. I don't think this happens, certainly on the Patrick Kane side, but even on the Detroit Red Wings angle, if they don't get off to the fast start. We had Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit as those teams trying to take the next step this year. Detroit followed through on that. Those players and Derek Lalonde put themselves in this position to be able to bring Patrick Kane in. And now Alex DeBrincat, who's a 40-goal scorer in the past with Patrick, now has a serious shot of scoring 50 this year. He's off to a great start, topped 10 goals already. So I think the Cat has a real good chance to do something special with Patrick. There'll be some expectations there. They'll have to get through that if it doesn't click right away. But I think offensively with Perron and with Larkin, like they have a lot of weapons in Detroit. You add in a player that can do so much on the power play, and then 5-on-5, Patrick Kane never gets hit. So I think there's a real, and the chemistry part of it too, a real possibility to do something special with the Detroit Red Wings to get in. That division, that conference is still a real dogfight to get in. Detroit's in a spot right now, but holding on to it is going to be a challenge. And you look at Detroit adding Kane. Tampa Bay has welcomed Andrei Vasilevsky back. Those two teams have done big early season moves. We'll see whether or not others keep up to that pace. Toronto, I don't know what they can do because of the salary cap. You've got Boston, have made a lot of massaging to their team in the offseason. I think they are what they are. I think Florida could probably do a little bit, but they're up against the cap too. They'll add some players back from injury. I think that's where they'll make the most headway there. Now, here's the situation with Patrick, though. Like, individually, we know he's a great talent. We know he's going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. We know he's a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. He has everything except his hip. Now, if you have done any type of research, and I hope you didn't do the full rabbit hole, but Patrick Kane's coming off hip resurfacing surgery, and it's interesting. Like, an artificial hip, like taking your hip out, putting some piece of metal in, that's basically a straightforward procedure. The hip resurfacing, where they go in and they smooth everything out and then put your own hip joint back in, that's a whole lot more laborious when it comes to both the pain and the rehab. Players have done it before. Ed Jovanovski, National Hockey League defenseman, did it. Ryan Kessler, National Hockey League player, he did it. Nick Backstrom is coming back from it. The first two weren't able to return to full National Hockey League careers. Nick Backstrom is right now on the outside after having that same procedure done a year ago. Nobody's really been able to come back and have the same type of performance. Is Patrick Kane the unicorn? Is he able to do it? All the video and all the reports are that he has had a splendid rehab without any hiccups. It all points in that direction. But until we see him on the ice producing, he's going to have to be faced with the questions about the limitations of hip resurfacing surgery. It's just a reality. I hope the best, because it'd be awesome to be able to see it. And like the different approaches. Jack Eichel in Vegas had artificial disc replacement surgery. Never happened in the National Hockey League. He came back, and Tyler Johnson had it a couple of months after that. And now I think it's a much more accepted procedure instead of fusion. Hip resurfacing surgery, I'm sure they can tweak it as they make medical inroads, but this is going to be a challenge for Patrick Kane. And don't go Google it, because it'll just make you walk awkwardly after looking at what hip resurfacing surgery is. He's here. Sean Walker has just arrived in from the green room. I'll talk about what happened in Minnesota in just a little bit. After we get to know the Bowling Green product, undrafted player who was traded this summer from the Sun and Fun of LA over to the East Coast in Philadelphia. Here's Sean Walker on the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard. Out of the gate, how different is Philadelphia from Southern California?
It's a little bit of an adjustment, but definitely a lot of pros, and it's been a good adjustment so far. I like it a lot.
So all the board shorts, everything just got packed away, or
there's not too many flip-flop days anymore, but they're in the closet, and I'll have them in Florida when we get down there.
Did you get into surfing or anything when you were in LA?
Funny. So Alex Iafallo was like the big surfing guy on the team, and he would make sure all the boys would go out at least once. And I went once with him, and that was my first and last time. It wasn't pretty. So I don't miss the surfing. That's one thing I'm not too mad about.
Dude, it's the hardest thing for somebody to actually get their head around to do. And you're a professional athlete, and that you're at the top of the mountain, and it's impossible.
Couldn't do it. So there was about 4 or 5 of us that went that one day. And I think by the end of the day, maybe one of us got up. The rest of the time you're just getting barreled by all the waves. So we packed it in pretty early that day and just chilled on the beach.
See, that's karma for Iafallo ending up in Winnipeg.
You know what? He's I think he's thriving there too. He's an outdoors guy.
Oh, he's an outdoor guy, right? Yeah.
He
loves the fishing.
He'll figure it out no matter where he is. He's fishing, hunting. He'll figure it out.
So you get traded to Philadelphia. What were your expectations in the first couple of days, getting your head around the roster and the organization, to how you guys have played so far this year?
Yeah, I think obviously, it was very vocalized that it was kind of a rebuild, and that's what I was coming into. But, that's kind of where I started my career as well in LA. That was kind of the situation. It was a rebuild as well. That was how I got my opportunity even to play in the league. And I thought it was going to be a really great opportunity for me to come here and establish myself again. And I think everybody just wants to come in every day and work their hardest, put their best foot forward. And, I think we've strung together a couple pretty good games, and, the record shows that.
What's the hardest part about joining a new organization?
Geez, you know what? It was honestly a pretty smooth transition. The guys here are awesome. The staff is amazing. Top to bottom, Danny, Keith Jones, everybody made it feel so welcome. It was honestly a really easy transition for me. I can't say enough about the guys, the team here, the core guys. People reached out as soon as I got traded. People reached out to my wife. They made it super, super easy. So I'm sure it can be difficult sometimes, but I've had a great experience so far, and it's been really pleasant.
Had you met Keith Jones before?
No, unfortunately, honestly, he's one of the best dudes I've ever met. You think maybe your worst game, and he'll make you feel like you're the best player on the ice. So he's been awesome to have around, and he's making everyone's day better every day. Like I said, the staff, management down from Danny, everybody has been really awesome. So it's been a really great experience for me.
How often would you see Jonesy?
Honestly, probably daily.
Yeah.
He's always around. He comes on the road a lot with us. He's always around. So it's great. And, like I said, he's always bringing that positive energy. So it's been great for all the guys to see him around.
I didn't want to hit you off the bat with it, but I'm really curious because I've had my own experiences and they've been positive. But from an outsider, you've heard the stories about Torts.
Yep.
And now you get to play for Torts.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between what you'd heard to the reality.
You know what? I did over the summer. I got to speak with some guys that had him as a coach before. And
what did they say?
It was all pretty positive. And, if you work and do what he asks you, you're going to get the opportunities and get rewarded for it. And I think that's kind of something that fits perfectly with what I want to come and bring to a team. So, since day one, he made it very clear guys that are going to work and do what he asks are going to get opportunity. It doesn't matter if you're a guy that's been around in the league for 10 years or this is your first year. And I think that he's been true to that. And, it shows with the ice time that some guys are getting and the opportunities. And me personally, I think it's been going really well. And he's been great so far. I love the way he's been coaching, and he's really brought the team together.
Have you had a Torts moment though? Because everybody seems to have one of those moments.
There's been some, but I'll keep those between us in the locker room for now. But he's been good. It's pretty black and white. You know where you stand, and he has high expectations, and he expects you to live up to them.
I try to tell people, and they have trouble getting their head around it because there's so many stories about him. But he's a caring, engaging guy.
100%. If you get a chance to talk to him, he'll talk about your family or what did you do over the summer. I remember our first conversation we even had when I did get traded, talk about hockey and stuff. And he said, "What's your plans for the summer?" I said, "I'm getting married." And from that point on, basically it wasn't about hockey. It was about, what are you doing? Where's your honeymoon? What's the plan? Was very interested in, again, made me feel very welcome from day one.
So was your wife sour that you got traded and then had to do a wedding and find a new place to live?
It was funny. So I got home on June 1st and got traded on June 6th. And we had just bought a house the year before. So it was a little bit of a whirlwind. We flew back, packed the house up, got it all together, and then we flew back, and then our wedding was in 2 weeks, and then we were going to Italy for 2 weeks. So the trade turned the summer into a little bit of hectic and a little stressful, but it is what it is, and you always got to be ready for those things. So we were prepared, and it ended up being really smooth, actually.
What did you do in Italy?
Oh geez, what didn't we do? We traveled. It wasn't relaxing. We hit all the spots. We flew into Rome, then we went to Venice, then we were in Florence, and then we finished in Positano on the Amalfi Coast. So we were hitting all the spots, the Vatican. We did some wine tours. all the big spots in Rome, tons of food stuff. It was honestly an amazing trip, and even 2 weeks wasn't long enough. We're planning to go back soon.
What was your favorite part?
So, I mean, Positano by far is like the most breathtaking place I've been. So
I can't believe you came back from there.
It was tough. It was tough, especially we started with all the touristy stuff. So then we finished there and actually got to relax. And it was like, holy, we did like a boat tour one day. We rented a boat for ourselves and stuff. And they took us just up and down the Amalfi Coast, let us swim wherever we want, took us out to lunch. It was amazing. But we also, it was really busy in Rome. And we were also there during that like 40 degrees Celsius wave. It was crazy, but the food is just like outrageous there. So like me and my wife, pretty big foodies, I would say. So every day we would have pizza and pasta. I think the first 2 days we had pizza, pasta at every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, basically. It was outrageous, but Rome and Positano were definitely our spots.
I love that you just dropped Celsius on me, because as a Canadian
I don't know who's going to be watching this. So
no. I'm a Canadian. I'm a Canadian. I live in Vegas, and I know what's warm in Fahrenheit. I know what's warm in Celsius, but I can't do the transition yet. I can't figure that out. But I love that you dropped Celsius.
I got to. Everybody's got to know, so I had to put that out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, you were undrafted.
Yep.
When did you? Had you thought that you were going to play professional hockey, or did it just happen because you weren't undrafted? That it was probably a little more wide open.
Yeah, I think when I was growing up, undrafted into the OHL, had the opportunity to play junior A, and then I got a scholarship, and I was like, that already was the best thing that I could have hoped for at that point in my career. Then kind of going through college, started to see the guys that were signing as free agents. And I felt like there's no reason I can't be one of those guys too. So junior year, senior year, I had a feeling I'd be able to get the opportunity to play at least. Got my minor league deal with Ontario. And then from there, I felt like if I got the opportunity, I'd be able to do it. So it was kind of, I don't know, just kind of progressed as the years went on and I matured, felt more confident in my game and saw kind of what was out there. But yeah, growing up, I was never one of those highly touted guys that I was like, hey, you're going to get drafted. You're going to play this many years in the OHL, then you're going to draft the NHL and go. So it was just kind of, we'll see what happens, work hard. And I'm fortunate that it worked out the way it did.
I think you're a better person than me, but I would look back and look at all the guys that played major junior and were high draft picks that never played and say, I did it.
Oh, I do.
You do? Good for you.
Of course. I mean, it's funny. I grew up playing a bunch against Scott Lawton. So we always talk about all the guys that we were the same age. So we played, and all the guys that were drafted, all the guys that were supposed to be players, and it just doesn't work out, So it's funny to look back sometimes. And it's not that I'm sticking it to them or anything, but it's definitely funny to see how overlooked I was and where I am now.
Hey, what allowed you to make that jump? What in you?
I think at the same time, maybe it was that all these guys are getting the opportunities and I wasn't. So, that's an extra log on the fire for me. I think I prided myself in someone that always kind of works or tries to work as hard as anybody else in the room. And yeah, it's just kind of how it went, especially went to college, and that was kind of a real eye opener for me. I would say the level of commitment and work and skill that you got to put into your game every day, and the coaching staff there really helped me and pushed me. And yeah, I would say that was a big turning point in my career, was in college, where I felt like I could take that next step, and they really helped me with that. What
was your degree in college?
I graduated with a business degree with specialization in supply chain management.
What does that even mean?
Basically everything involved with transportation or products and sourcing and buying all the materials, everything from A to B to, making your final iPhone, whatever, everything in between. So it was something that my dad's in distribution. So I was able to take a summer and work with him one time, and it was something that I felt like I was interested in. If hockey wasn't going to work out, it was something I felt like I could make a career out of. So did that, me and another classmate, and it was something I really enjoyed.
So like Amazon supply deliver in the end.
Yep.
Is that too simple?
No, that's just about right.
Wow.
We'll leave it at
Where's
that.
your dad work? Let's give your dad a shout out.
He's at Molson Coors Canada at the brewery in Etobicoke. Yeah. So
Yeah?
he's been there for 25 years, I think. I'm not sure. His title has changed a couple times. He's senior distribution, something along those lines. So he deals with all the truckers and the logistics of all the trucks and the drivers and making sure all the beer gets delivered for all the good folks up in Canada.
I used to go to that location to get my kegs for the home keg all the time. So
There we go. It's a good spot.
That's awesome. Hey,
Yeah.
What do you think of the Flyer fans? They're legendary.
You know what? It's no offense against the LA fans, but the passion is definitely here compared to LA. You know, I feel like a couple nights in LA, it's definitely just a night out for those people, where here they're there to see your team win. And they love you when you're winning, and if the game's not really going your way, they'll let you know too. But it's a nice fan base that's just really passionate, and that's something that I think really helps. The building's alive every night, and it helps us a lot too. We want to win for them.
Did you get into the Phillies run?
I didn't go to any of the playoff games, but I went to some of their last regular season games, and it's awesome, electric. And then we also got a chance to go to the Eagles game too earlier in the year, and that's those fans are even a little more intense than coming to our games. So it's the fan base, the fans here in Philly in general are just amazing. It's been a great experience.
The old story about the vet. I'm sure you've heard they had a jail in the stadium.
I have not heard about this.
That's how engaged or intense the fans were.
Yeah.
So I think it works. Like I can make that connection.
It makes sense. I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they're filling that thing up most nights.
So it's a dogfight right now for you guys. We'll finish on this. What's a successful year for you? Because now you're right in the middle of it. I wonder if things have evolved a little bit.
Yeah, I think obviously at the beginning of the year, everyone was counting us out, saying probably one of the worst teams in the NHL. And now I think we've proved a lot of people wrong. I think internally a successful year is obviously make playoffs and make a run. And I think we're all starting to realize that if we continue to play the way we are, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to do that at the end of the year. So there's some, couple games we wish we would have had back, some goals and some bounces, but that's how it's going to go. We're going to have some rough patches. We've had some really good stretches as well. Obviously that 5-win streak. So just got to have a little reset here and get back to that. And there's no reason we shouldn't have a really good year going forward.
Different spots, positions. What would you take from Owen Tippett if you could grab something from his
If I could take,
his release is
amazing. Could I take everything?
Sure.
Geez, what a player. I mean, I like to think of myself as a pretty good skater, but he is so powerful, so fast. His shooting, his hands, his size. I mean, anything I could take to his game and bring it to mine, I think would make me a lot better. So there's not many bad things about his game or the person he is. He's honestly been a very, very awesome person and player to play with. And but I'll take the way he shoots the puck because I think I skate pretty well. So I'll take that.
I watched him in junior, and I swear he could score on a wrist shot from the blue line.
That it doesn't surprise me anymore after watching him practice. It's amazing the way he shoots the puck. What
about Brink?
Bobby? Geez, I definitely skate better than Bobby, but I let the guy can score. He kind of makes those little plays, and he's finding ways to score. But the way he shoots the puck too, I think. Maybe I got to work on my shot. Jeez, I'm taking everybody's shot.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
Brink's a silver spooner compared to you, though. Like he's been hand fed all the way up.
Yep. I tell him that every day.
Are you who was you in LA when you came in? You know what I mean here? Like playing your role now And in Philadelphia, who played that role in Philly?
Who
Or in LA?
is playing in LA now?
No, who is looking out for you in LA? I did a terrible job explaining this question.
Oh, so who was taking care of me basically when
Yeah,
I was a rookie?
yeah.
Oh, geez, there was tons of guys. I mean, some of the ones that really like when I first started, Dion Phaneuf was there, Muzzin was still there, Alec Martinez was there, Toffoli was there, and all of these guys made me feel so welcome. I remember maybe my second week up, Dion, Kopitar, and Doughty invited me to go golf with them, and I was like, holy. Like this doesn't feel
Were you
right.
nervous?
Golfing with, oh yeah. First tee was probably one of the more nervous times I've been standing over a ball. But geez, they had such a good core of older guys that made you feel welcome and stuff like that. Doughty, Martinez, Muzzin, they were all awesome to me. Clifford even. All those guys made it so easy for me to come in. Again, that's why they were such a good team for so long. They had that group of guys that just knew how to go about business and made sure everyone felt welcome and comfortable in that room.
I get to hang out with Marty in my day job with Vegas.
There you go.
He's one of my favorite human beings, but give me something I can use on him.
Oh, geez. Well, if you haven't heard already, don't call him Alex.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That is game changer.
That's the one. It doesn't matter who you are. If you say Alex, he'll give you the side eye the rest of the day. He'll be ruined.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it stays with him for a while.
Yeah, he hates it. And that's not one thing he'll let slide.
And that's not even one that I would joke about and walk up and go,
no, he doesn't. That's not one thing that you can joke with him about.
You're right about that one. What's on the hat?
This is a Bad Birdie, I believe. We did a little golf outing at TPC. Geez, I'm not going to say it properly. Jasna Polona. It's just a little north of here. Mm-hmm. And so that was, again, we started the year and we did a little team getaway in New York. And then on the way back, we stopped and did 18 at this TPC course. So right from the beginning, it's been a really tight group and it's been a really great experience.
So you can play a little bit.
I can play a little bit. I wouldn't go there's you know what? There's a lot of good players on this team.
What's your cap?
I will say the cap used to be a lot better before I hurt my knee. I was out a 6, and then after my knee injury, I'm about a 10 now, and I don't get out enough anymore. I need to be playing 4 times a week if I'm going to get low.
4 times a week?
If I'm going to get low. During COVID and stuff, when I got a membership, when COVID happened, and I was playing 4 or 5 times a week easy.
Wow.
So that's how I got to a 6. And now it's not like that.
That's awesome. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to get a hitting station in my house. Not a full simulator, but a launch monitor. Yeah. You think it would help? Yes. We actually, I moved into a brand new building here in Philly, and they've got an awesome setup with a simulator and stuff. And Tippett's in my building and Paling's in my building. So we go down and get some balls in every once in a while. And I'm feeling confident about my game right now. I got to get out. I'm moving into your building. Yeah, it's an awesome building. This has been awesome. I love connecting with you. We ran the gamut here, and thanks for translating my question earlier about no worries. Say hi to your dad. I will, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks, buddy. I don't even know how to react to that. I don't know Sean very well, but I want to go out and play around a golf with him, have a beer with him, and I want to be a best friend of the Philadelphia Flyers now after talking to Sean Walker. What an engaging guy. So cool. And a self-made guy. He wasn't drafted. He not in the OHL, not in the NHL, and he is a National Hockey League veteran player who is now into a new organization and getting it done there as they have overachieved the Philadelphia Flyers. Can they keep going? Talked about the massive parity that's taking place. Detroit with the signing of Patrick Kane, can they separate themselves? Well, Philadelphia Flyers are just trying to stay in it. And his comments about Keith Jones are right on the money. Like, Keith Jones makes you feel like you can run up a mountain in shorts in a blizzard and you will get there and you will save the country. just by doing that. He's just so powerful with it. I love to hear that. And then you get into the surfing and awesome stuff. Thanks to Sean Walker. Things going great in Philadelphia. Torts has got them going wild and consistent in a positive, wild and a positive, as they have outkicked their coverage so far. I don't think we thought that they would be ahead of teams like Ottawa or Buffalo that were trying to make that step this year. On the other side, you've got teams that are expected to be in it. And that's the situation for Edmonton and Minnesota. Two teams that made the playoffs last year, had expectations for Stanley Cup contention. They come out this time around and they stumble. And they both fired their coach and made changes behind the bench. And I don't know or proclaim to be a great friend of what occurred in Edmonton and Jay Woodcroft, but I am closer to Dean Evason, and I know what kind of person he is. I know what kind of coach he is. So I can come out with this with both from the outside with Jay and the closer to the situation with Dean Evason. They had good teams, and they made some offseason changes systematically, and it didn't work out. In Minnesota, they were expected to run it back and be as good or better and contend with Dallas and Colorado and whoever else wanted to come out, because that's, what is St. Louis? What is Nashville? But they were supposed to be right in the mix of it. And I don't know what happened. Individual performances were not there in Minnesota this year. The production wasn't there. And I can say, in watching the Minnesota Wild, when it got away from them, it became more mental than it did physical. And it's one of the stranger sort of journeys that I've been able to watch, where it absolutely ran away from them, and they weren't able to catch back up. They're a much better team, and I think you'll see that with John Hynes. John Hynes is going to take over the most offensive capable team that he's ever coached in the National Hockey League. Not in New Jersey, not in Nashville. This is a team that can put the puck in the net, and I'm excited for him to be able to do that. But I'm also disappointed in what happened in Minnesota with Dean. And Billy Guerin has high expectations. I was a little bit surprised that he was so confident that he wasn't going to make a coaching change when they were in Stockholm, because he is that guy that wants results, and he ended up basically proving that I was correct in thinking that something was going to be happen. So Minnesota, we'll see what happens there as they try to get back into it. It's going to be an easier road for Edmonton because they've got the best player in the world in Connor McDavid, who after 3 games with 12 points has gone from 131st in the National Hockey League scoring race 2.5 weeks ago to the top 10. That's the amazing pace. And I have a question to you. Think about this. Because Connor McDavid is so good, he's so much better than everybody else in the league when it comes to producing points, that he was almost judged against himself when it came to the MVP award and the Hart Trophy. If he won the Hart Trophy by 10 points, if he won the scoring race by 10 points, follow along here, I don't think he's the MVP of the league, the Hart Trophy winner. He had to really wipe away everybody and dominate to win the MVP, or else they were going to give it to somebody that scored a lot of goals or had a breakout season. This time around, though, when he comes from such a slow start as a team and an individual, is Connor McDavid more likely to win the MVP if he squeaks out the win, or if he wins by 10 points? I talked to a lot of people about this, and unanimously, everybody says, yeah, he'll win the MVP. It's different because they got off to the slow start. Just something to think about as you watch the games. Also excited about what's happening around the National Hockey League. The Nashville Predators going great. The LA Kings are making a run, and the Vancouver Canucks, great excitement in that market as we follow along as things groove towards the start of December and another mile marker in this National Hockey League season. Thanks to Sean Walker. I love the birdie hat. That's awesome. And the simulator inside his own building. Sign me up for that. Thanks to Bob Bender, and appreciate you for listening. Let me know what you think. What's your favorite part? We're always open for interactions on the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard.